Hello and welcome back to Hardy's Books. Her name is Laura.
His name is Ross.
And we are here today to talk to you about something that's very close to Laura's heart.
What the hell was that?
In the last video, I, Ross, spoke about the 3 pillars of reading. Well, actually, technically, I spoke about objectivity in art, but...
He didn't tell me he was going to do that.
Part of that last video, I talked about how you could possibly class a book as good and that there is no objective good. And I kind of went through some kind of components of that, which was how it enriches you, how it engages you. And it's the last one here that Laura has told me she wants to talk about today.
Yeah, and that is enjoyment. And
Enjoyment.
Enjoyment.
Oui.
I recently went to a fascinating talk with our friend in the most parasocial way possible.
Go and watch the video.
Yeah. Our friend Joanne Harris at the Chimera Festival in Edinburgh called The Pleasure of Reading. It was being chaired by Philippa Cochrane at the Scottish Book Trust, and it was just a really fascinating conversation between Joanne and Dr. Sarah McGowan, and it was a really lovely back and forth with the panelists and us in the audience, and it focused around the process of reading and the enjoyment of reading and the impact that reading has on a person and on a person's life, and the importance of having those enriching moments through reading throughout your life and through storytelling more broadly. We're not going to gatekeep here. Audiobooks are also reading. Graphic novels also reading.
More on that later.
More to come.
But you kind of were highlighting. So one of the factors of that talk was Joanne going through some of the books that have caused her to experience huge pleasure in reading as she's gone through her life.
100%.
And I mean, you can also hear kind of a snippet, I guess, of Joanne's incredible enlightening thoughts and enjoyments of books by watching our video. Second plug of the video by watching the interview up there.
We won't do that again, I promise.
With no more plugs of that video. But you kind of wanted to think a bit about some books that have given you that joy.
Yeah.
That kind of that feeling that's, you know, transportive feeling or engrossing feeling or connection with other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I think about books that have been very important to me, I immediately go to Artemis Fowl, which when I was kind of 8, 9, 10, 11, was hugely important to me. I used to go to the library after school, take out Artemis Fowl, read it obsessively. There was also the Pure Dead trilogy, or it might have even been longer than the trilogy. I remember they had these fabulous velvet covers.
Ooh.
I used to take those out of the library. And
did you feel pleasure stroking the cover?
I did. And they were so enriching, and they encouraged me to be the creative little weirdo that I was then and still am now. They were hugely important, and that is the point of this video, is that reading should be an experience. It should be engrossing. It should be something that you do for pleasure, to be transported, to be enriched.
Well, this is kind of a bit of a departure for us, because I think we try to say on this channel kind of 2 things, you know, not to yuck on people's yums and not to should all over people.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to should in your cereal.
No.
But you notice that we are using the word should quite a lot here. An awful lot.
Yeah.
I think this is something that we both believe fairly strongly in. And this is kind of our next point, really. If you're reading for some kind of status or for clout, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't care what your reading challenge is on Goodreads.
Nor does anyone.
No
one really does. No one cares.
His is 52 books in a year. I don't care. I live with him.
I tried to tell Laura I've read so many books so far this year.
I don't care.
Brutal.
It's
but
not,
true.
Who cares? I don't care how many books you've read, because books aren't for having been read. Books are for reading. They are for experiencing. They are for having that emotional connection with, for being transported by. not for having been transported by. I'm not going to come up to you and say, so what have you enjoyed? How many books have you enjoyed? I'm going to say, what are you reading at the moment? What books have you enjoyed the most?
Let's be helpful. Permission. We're giving you permission, okay, to ignore anyone who cares.
Yeah.
Anyone who matters
Doesn't care.
Anyone who doesn't matter. Anyone who cares doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. A equals B, therefore B. No. Anyway, but the point is, people who care about the number of books you've read, those people are gatekeepers.
Yeah,
those people,
we're not here to gatekeep literature.
It's elitism.
Especially not genre fiction. Come on, we're already the ugly stepchildren of the literature community. We don't need to gatekeep amongst ourselves, guys. I'm gonna say some things. I've not read Wheel of Time. I'm probably not going to.
No.
Doesn't appeal.
I don't think you'd like it.
No. I've not read Malazan.
You definitely wouldn't like that one.
No. And that's fine.
But that's because your feeling about those books is such that you don't think that you're likely to find those books
enriching,
that you don't think you're going to enjoy them.
I'm not going to enjoy them, probably.
So if you're not enjoying a book, if let's say you pick up a book, you think you're going to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And let's say you get 20% in.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? This isn't resonating with me.
DNF that. I'm giving you permission.
More permission.
More permission from this internet stranger. DNFing books is more than okay. I hate seeing people on the internet saying, oh, I hated this book, it was such a slog. The whole last third was such a slog. I was just staring at the percentage bar on my Kindle, couldn't wait to finish it. I was listening on 2x speed in the shower just to get it done so I could read something else. I just couldn't wait for it to be over. My brother in Christ, DNF that Your life is too short.
Send it. Yeah.
Just yeet it off a cliff for all I care. Life is too short.
Let's not forget, as kind of fans of genre fiction as well, is that there are some bloody long books in the fantasy and sci-fi space.
Yeah.
That if you're 20% in, you probably already at 20% read the length of a normal book.
Yeah.
And if you've discovered that you aren't really enjoying it at that point,
release yourself from that commitment.
You don't need to
finish it.
Even if you're nearly at the end.
You still don't need to finish it.
Time is valuable.
How did you get into, was it Dark Tower?
No, it's It.
It was It.
I got 90% through It, a 1,000 plus page book, and then DNF'd it. Like, you must, I know, it's because I don't care about having it on my list of books I finished. I was enjoying that book up until the point where I wasn't, and people who read it know what I'm talking about. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to stick with this. I'm not enjoying it anymore. There's no point in me continuing. I'm going to stop reading.
There we go.
You voiced the word enrich a lot, which is, I guess, one of my other pillars of good book. But so one could argue, perhaps, that if you're finding something else than enjoyment, there's some other value being bestowed upon you from the process of reading that book, then fine, give it.
Plow through.
Only if you really do feel that it's giving you some value.
Yeah.
But the enjoyment is the most visceral of those three things of enjoyment, enrichment, and the third one,
engagement. Yeah, we're not trying to say that books shouldn't challenge you.
No, not at all. Books
have been used to challenge people's perceptions and worldviews for millennia, centuries. That's exactly what they're good for. We're not saying that books should always be an easy, fun ride. Some of the best books I've ever read have been chewy, hard, prosy books.
And those books exactly were enriching you.
They were enriching me in other ways.
Yeah. And you got to remember as well, like, some authors who write really long books just aren't that respectful of your time. Your time is so valuable. And if you just know that you're going to have to keep going and going and going and going, and it's going to take so long, and it's just going to suck the life out of you, it's going to put you in a slump, and you're going to need a slump buster, another video up there, then, I
promise that's the last one.
Then you might, at that point, I think you have our permission, as we say, to DNF.
DNFing is fine. DNFing is fine. DNFing is fine.
up until this point, though, we've been talking about bad inverted commas books. We've been talking about books that, as I say, aren't respectful of your time, books that you find you aren't enjoying, but books where it's the problem with the book.
Yeah.
There are situations that, say, if you're in a reading slump and you're finding that nothing is really connecting to you, where it's not a problem with the book, it might be a problem with you. That there might be some reasons, mental health, lack of hydration, haven't watered your plants, they need water too, where you're feeling not quite alive from what you're reading. Why did I say the plant thing?
I don't know.
Anyway, where you need a new approach to reading, need to rediscover your love of reading. So how do you do that?
I sometimes find that taking myself out of my normal situation, going and finding a new place to read, going and finding a new cafe to sit in, going and finding a nice park bench to read on, maybe taking, like, we recently took a holiday down to Cornwall.
Oh yeah.
We hired a shepherd's hut for
It was great.
like 4 days and just sat and read in it. But we're very lucky not to sorry, it's going to sound dreadful. We're very lucky not to have children. So
Thank you, parents of the world. You're doing the world a service.
thank you.
You're
Thank
allowing
you.
people
You're
like us to
allowing
live.
people of us like us to take as many holidays as we please. Maybe you need a holiday. Maybe you need to just take yourself off to the park, sit by the pond on a bench, watch some dogs, watch some people, put in your loops. Not sponsored, Loops, if you're watching, I am thoroughly dependent on your product, so hit me up.
It's coming back to that kind of, I mean, it was a bit trendy a few years ago. I think that perhaps like people are talking about it less, but mindfulness as like a way of kind of getting the most out of what you're doing, you know, by slowing down, by trying to kind of understand what the author's doing, by reading each sentence slowly, understanding how it's constructed, understanding how the characters are constructed, doing a bit more kind of just
reading like a writer.
Yeah, reading like a writer, genuinely. These kinds of approaches might just help you rediscover some pleasure in reading if you're not feeling it right now. Worth a go. At the very least, worth a go. Failing that, we can recommend sertraline. It's a very good antidepressant. Who does this well? I think our friend Cams Campbell does this very well, doesn't he?
We'll link to our friend Cam's channel. He has a fantastic slow reading channel. Every time I watch it, I just feel calm. He lives on an island, one of the Scottish islands.
It is such a charmed life.
Oh, he just posts these videos of him sitting on his porch with his cat and his dog, reading Russian classics, watching the sunset over the Scottish coast, and there's like sheep and cows grazing.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
He's carved out time to read, you know, he's actually set that time aside. He's not reading 5 minutes before bed, where you can barely even keep your eyes open long enough to enjoy yourself in the process of reading. I mean, that's a focused, meditative, embodied approach to reading that I can highly recommend.
Yeah. My brain is always like it's got too many tabs open, and then just occasionally it's like the browser crashes and I just need to go and turn my brain off and on again. Hashtag neurodivergent.
I guess another thing that we wanted to talk about was about like the actual classification of something as reading, because we talk about the pleasures of reading. I feel like there's a little bit of elitism, a little bit of gatekeeping, just to use those two words again because they're a hot topic right now, towards what is reading and what counts as reading, and about how you should best enjoy reading. I mean, there are other approaches to reading that people can get a bit snooty about. I think one of those is audiobooks.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I always used to read while I was running, which I said that to a colleague and they were like, that's not reading. I was like, 100% it is, because I'm accessing the same story as you. I'm just doing it through my ears whilst running.
Yeah. Again, these are people who don't matter.
Yeah.
They will tell you that reading via audio is not reading. And that's, look, A, they don't matter. B, are you enjoying yourself? If you are, cool. Who cares? If you're listening to the radio play of Lord of the Rings from 1981, by the way, good choice, and you've downloaded that from Audible, and you think I'm gonna listen to that, I'm gonna enjoy that, 100% do it. Who cares if it's technically reading or not? Okay, just enjoy the story, just enjoy the experience, just enjoy the vibes.
It's also we're not going to be exclusionary. Some people struggle with reading physical books, people with dyslexia, people who have sight loss. There's all sorts of reasons why people might struggle with physical reading, with physical books. A friend of mine who has poor motor ability in his hands, he is completely dependent on using a Kindle or using earbuds.
Yeah.
But some people would say, it's not really reading. It's not really reading.
Who cares if it is or not?
The only reading that really counts is when you've got a big leather-bound tome. Boring.
Yeah. Some people can be such bores, can't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. There you go. Next time someone says that to you, you can just say, you're really boring.
You're so dull.
You're really a really dull person.
God, you must be so fun at parties.
Like, when was the last story you engaged with?
Yeah.
Really, truly.
Yeah.
And also, if you find people saying that you shouldn't be enjoying a book, and you are...
They can get in the sea.
Just
put them directly in the bin and then yeet that bin off a cliff. Don't actually do that, because that would be...
No, that's murder.
Metaphorically speaking, delete them from your life.
Yeah. We're on BookTube, okay? And we have a certain morality behind how we do things. The best booktubers will not tell you whether or not you should like a book. Okay?
Unless it's Red Rising, because you really shouldn't.
You shouldn't like that. No, if you like Red Rising...
Joking.
If you like Red Rising, if you like the book that wouldn't burn, I'm
happy for you. Yeah, you're wrong,
great.
But I'm happy for you.
Laura, you need to stop joking and saying you're wrong in there, because people will take it seriously.
Okay, sorry.
Genuinely, if you've ever heard us say it, we're joking. Please don't ever think that we're trying to tell you not to read something. We like extremes of hyperbole.
Most of the time, we're only taking the piss.
Basically all the time. But if you like romantasy,
go
read
for it.
that.
Yeah.
Read it. If you like fan fiction,
fill your boots.
Read it, write it, do it. If it's giving you joy,
go for it.
Pursue joy.
Yeah. Unless it is actively harming somebody or the world. Just embrace the weird, embrace the wacky, let your freak flag fly. We are here for it. We encourage you. We are enablers.
Enablers of joy.
Enablers of joy.
I just want to say one more thing, which is kind of just a bookend to this, which is that your reading is for no one else but you. Exactly.
If you've got this far, comment. Thanks for enabling our joy. Let us know your thoughts. Are we completely barking up the wrong tree?
Are we mad?
Are we mad?
Yeah.
Definitely. But whatever. Who cares? What's coming up, Ross? Coming up, we have our book club review of The Leviathan Wakes. We're literally going to hit pause on the recording and start that. Yeah. That's going to be fun. And then we also are going to have a video, hopefully encompassing all of our fun experiences as a Worldcon, unless we have too much fun, and then there won't be a video. Yeah, because we'll have forgotten to record anything. Yeah. But hopefully we'll meet some cool authors, and hopefully we won't embarrass ourselves so much. So follow us on Instagram. At Hardy's Books. Hit that like button. If you're not already subscribing, hit subscribe as well. And we also sell books, so head over to hardysbooks.co.uk to see what we have in stock. See you in the next one. See ya. Bye.